Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hi, I'm Sonia and I'd love it if you could subscribe, and if you're already an existing subscriber, welcome back. So for today's video I'm actually going to be doing an introduction to a new project to my channel, and it is the Enjoy Your Eyeshadows project. So this was created by Deb, and this project is where you use your eyeshadows in your collection, whether that be palettes, singles. It is completely up to you how you want to do it, as long as you're using your eyeshadows. And then the next update, you recap on the eyeshadows that you've used. So I have been waiting for a project like this to come along because I really need to work through my eyeshadows this year and see whether it's ones I want to keep in my collection or get rid of. And this is just a perfect project for this. And each update, Deb would like to hear your peak and your pit. So peak is your favourite, pit is your least favourite. And the way that I'm going to do this is I'm going to be rolling in eyeshadows each update. And when I say eyeshadows, I think it'll be mainly palettes, but I do have some singles that may roll in as well. And I'm going to pick 2 palettes and then I'm going to randomise 2 palettes as well. Just because I find I emotionally will steer towards certain ones and I want to use my entire collection. I'm going to pick 2 this for the introduction, and then I'm going to randomise 3. So I'm going to be using 5 over this next month. It might not always end up that way, it could be 4. I think it just depends on the month. But this month I will be choosing 5. There are lots of other lovely project planners that are doing this as well, so I'll make sure to leave Deb's channel below and their channels as well. And without further ado, let's just get into it. So I do have Wheel of Names here with all of my eyeshadows, and I have just updated it as well. So all of the eyeshadows I have in my collection now are in this wheel. I did do a bit of a declutter before because there were just some palettes I know that I wasn't loving. What I'm actually going to do is I'm going to start with the 2 that I have picked myself. So the first one I have is the Decay Backtalk palette. I wanted this palette when it first came out because it was a limited edition palette, and I just didn't buy it. I was like, I don't need it. I have so many colours like this in my collection. And then when I couldn't buy it anymore, I instantly regretted not buying it. And then I saw it came back and I snapped it up. Like, I was like, I'm not missing out on this again. But I've had this in my collection for quite a few years now, and it really hasn't had the love that it deserves. So this is what it looks like. I'm only going to be using the eyeshadows in this. There is blushes and highlight in the other side, but I'm only going to focus on this eyeshadow side. This is just a very me colour story. I'm actually wearing it today because I wanted to start to use it. So I have already created a look with this. I'm looking forward to creating some more and seeing what I think to this palette. I do think this will be one that will stay in my collection, but I do think it all just depends on how it performs. So stay tuned for the update next month to see what I think to it. But that is my first palette I'm bringing in. And then the second one I'm going to be bringing in is the Too Faced Gingerbread Spice palette. And it looks like this. Oh, sorry, it's really reflective. Hopefully that's a bit better so you can see it there. Again, haven't used this as much as what I should have, considering how long I've had it. It still smells okay. This palette has always smelled a bit weird to me, as in, like, it doesn't smell like gingerbread. I mean, it doesn't smell off or anything, but it's just never smelled like the way I would think gingerbread smells. I have used this shade before. I had it in a Pan Those Eyeshadows years ago, and I have used this one quite a bit, but the rest, I mean, barely really look touched, and I've had this a while. So I'm going to bring this palette in as well. So those are the 2 that I've picked, and now we're going to randomise 3. So I have all of my eyeshadow palettes in here, and we're just going to choose 3 randomly. So the first one I have is the Charlotte Tilbury Darling palette. Okay, I'm not unhappy to be bringing that one out because that is one of my favourite palettes in my collection. So what I'm doing is I'm going to be removing them from here, because once I've used it and I've made my opinion on it, I'm going to be putting a tick next to it in my makeup inventory to say, yes, I like this, I'm keeping it. If I don't like it and I declutter it, I'll just remove it from there. So I'm going to be removing it from here. This is accidentally just gone off here, so I didn't remove it, but I will. So the second one is the Too Faced Pumpkin Spice palette. Okay, so two Too Faced palettes out this month. And then the third one I will be working on is the CAB Cosmetics Day and Night palette. Okay, so what I'm going to go and do is going to go and get those eyeshadow palettes, and I'll be right back to show you. Okay, so I'm back and I have the palettes. So the first one that randomly got chosen for me was my Charlotte Tilbury Darling palette. Like I said, this is one of my favourites in my collection, but I am looking forward to using this a little bit more because I do find myself using this for like special occasions only, and I'm trying to get away from doing that. The That's Expensive projects has helped me with that, but yes, I am excited to be pulling this out and using it. And to be honest, what I'm going to do is I think I'm just going to use a palette each week, and if I want to grab another palette as well, I will. But I think I'm just going to do it that way, so then all of them are going to get use. So that is the Charlotte Darling palette. Next one that was randomly generated for me was the Too Faced Pumpkin Spice palette. And it looks like this. This is very spring. I'm trying not to cause a glare. I have used this one a bit more than I used the Gingerbread Spice, but I mean, it's not a huge amount more if I'm honest. This one smells a bit nicer, I think, a bit more sweeter. I do want the new Too Faced one, but I don't need it. I don't need it, and it's £40 on Sephora. Yeah, I'm trying to convince myself that I don't need it. But I obviously don't, because I've got two in my collection already that have barely any use. I do have Pan in this one though. I think this one was in a Pan Those Eyeshadows one year as well. But yeah, this is a very spring palette, so I'm glad it's coming out now. And then the last one that was randomly generated for me was the CAB Cosmetics Day and Night palette. This is still in the packaging. I haven't tried this one yet, and I've not tried this formula before, so this could be one that I may end up decluttering depending on what I think to it. This is what it looks like. I think this is meant to be a dupe for one of the Huda Beauty palettes. I can never remember which one, but I mean, it's pretty. It's definitely a colour story I can use. I think it's just going to be more down to formula and what I think to it. But yeah, these are definitely shades I think I will get along with. So that is it. I feel like this is pretty short and sweet, but I am so excited to be part of this, and I just want to say thank you to Dev for allowing me to be part of it, and I'm looking forward to giving you my views on these palettes in the next update. So this, I forgot to say as well, this project gets updated the 4th of every month, so my first update will be the 4th of May, which feels crazy to say because, like, where is this year going? I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope you're as excited as I am at being part of this. If you did like it, please give it a thumbs up, and it means the absolute world to me if you could subscribe if you don't already. And until my next video, thank you for coming by. See you later.